Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nat Travis, and it's my privilege to call to order the 2018 State of the City. This event would not be possible without the generous support we have received from our event sponsors, all of whom are on the screen for your perusal. The lead sponsor is none other than the City of Santa Monica. Followed by Santa Monica Place, the presenting sponsor. We have a number of futurist sponsors: Water Garden, Fairmont Miramar Hotel and Bungalow, Capital One, Santa Monica Travel and Tourism, the Plaza at Santa Monica, and Soka Gakkai International. I would like to acknowledge our Honorable Mayor Ted Winter, our City Manager Rick Cole, members of the City Council in the chambers, Gleam Davis and Tony Vasquez, please take a bow. Members of the County Board of Supervisors Office, state and federal representatives who are in attendance with us today, we appreciate the support and partnership of our community people. As part of the city's goal, zero waste, by 2030, tonight's reception is zero waste, and the foods provided promote lower carbon footprint while supporting our local economy. Please take this opportunity to get to know your neighbors, engage and mingle, and have a good time. This is a fun event. Don't sit here. Let's hear from you, okay? Now, it's my honor to bring to the stage Ian McElraith, Director of Community Relations, Soka Gakkai International, our wonderful host this evening, and enjoy.
Good evening, members of the Santa Monica Chamber and friends. We so appreciate welcoming you here. We've been calling Santa Monica, the great city of Santa Monica, our home for 50 years as of this year, 2018. And it's our great honor in recent years to be able to host in this World Peace Weekend Auditorium significant events like our West Side, Martin Luther King West Side Coalition events last month, as well as a splendid State of the City. So they have a great program planned. I want to get out of the way and let it proceed. Thanks again for coming.
Now please welcome to the stage the President and CEO of the Santa Monica Chamber of Commerce, Laurel Rosen.
Thank you. So good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the 2018 State of the City Economic Sustainability Summit. This event tonight promises to be exciting and thought-provoking. There will be many innovative ideas presented tonight that hopefully will pave the way towards a stronger economy. This economy that is transforming based on changing business models, a younger workforce with a deep emphasis on emerging technologies. So this is perhaps the most important summit that we've done, given the rapid shifts in the way we conduct business and the issues these changes will bring. The foundation of any city is a strong and vibrant tax-paying business community. Businesses help make parks, schools, and support the less advantaged possible. We have a robust chamber, one of the largest in Southern California, representing thousands of employees working in every business sector of our city. Our mission at the chamber is to be a connector, the nexus point, as we say, between business and city, as well as the whole community. So given the fast-moving changes, there's an urgency to collectively create a new economic blueprint to bolster our businesses while overcoming unanticipated obstacles in the future. So growth and sustainability are central to our discussions tonight, and we do have a lineup of incredibly talented business and civic leaders to share their insights. Mayor Ted Winthrop and City Manager Rick Cole will share much more coming up. So as a conduit for candid communications and positive change, the Chamber will continue to be at the table with our stakeholders to tackle the most difficult issues and collaborate on finding positive solutions. That means taking the best in show from all of our business sectors, from technology and healthcare to hospitality and retail. For example, what kinds of capital investments do businesses need to make to compete in this new economy? What help do you as a business owner need to be relevant and thrive moving forward? And what does collaboration look like with a more sustainable model? What are the barriers and opportunities for Santa Monica's developing workforce as we build towards a future with automation? So tonight you will hear from our thought leaders on these important questions, and they will help us understand that disruption can be difficult, but keeps us vital as we find our niche in the shifting economy. The Chamber has always been engaged in helping our city find solutions for the biggest issues, including one of our most pressing challenges: how do we address homelessness in our community and the region? The Chamber has been instrumental in the creation of City's Homeless Task Force, a team of volunteers from local and regional organizations working together to create resources for our residents and businesses to have a voice. The only way to impact our homeless crisis is for everyone to be part of the solution. So the 3 ways that you can help and make a difference is to donate. That really is the easy part. Support our agencies and volunteer. But most importantly, you need to advocate to end our housing shortages. Our young people today, they are our keys to the future. We must foster their growth so they can carry that torch to move forward. The Santa Monica Chamber Foundation and the Education Committee, working with the City of Santa Monica and Samo High, are currently preparing for our annual Job and Career Day, which supports over 700 students each year with job readiness and career opportunities. We are at the ready to continue to find ways to balance the needs of our business community and residents to ensure we have a prosperous and sustainable Santa Monica. So on behalf of the Chamber, I hope you'll reach out to me. I hope you'll ask for help. I hope you'll come to Chamber committees and working together, helping us to shape the future of the city that we all love. So I'd like to thank you for listening to me, and I'd like to invite and please help me welcome to the stage West Hooker Paletti, 2017-2018 Chair of the Chamber and owner of Locanda del Lago. West.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here with so many extraordinary business and community leaders representing an incredible diversity of industries which form the strong foundations of our local economy. As the Chamber's chair and owner of longtime Santa Monica restaurant Locanda del Lago, I am eager to find innovative ways to safeguard our city's sustainability, continue to build its reputation as a leading economic hub, while maintaining its unique character built over past decades by passionate, visionary, and hardworking community leaders, some of which are in this room tonight. Several important changes have occurred since last year's summit. Cannabis is becoming a restaurant ingredient. As reported by ABC News, keep your eyes peeled for upcoming pot-to-plate menus. We have seen changes in mobility and transportation habits. Some of us arrived here on shared green bikes or shared black scooters, or better yet, you got a Lyft, L-Y-F-T. There is a new administration in Washington reversing existing policies. A new tax code was recently passed and will have a ripple effect for both small and large business owners. In the short term, the restaurant industry believes that this will have a positive effect on its sector. Meanwhile, labor unions are growing and are focusing their expansion also within local independent restaurants, including here in our community. The restaurant industry does not feel this will have a positive effect. With change come a lot of unknowns, but a few things we know for sure. We know that our Santa Monica government leaders are committed to seeking the input from the business community, even on controversial matters, in order to make balanced policy decisions. This is commendable and crucial when looking forward. We also know for sure that our vibrant city continues to be a source of economic opportunity and creativity. We have more than 9,500 businesses employing nearly 90,000 people in a city of 93,000 residents. Our local businesses generated more than $3.2 billion in taxable sales last year, helping to raise $7.5 million for local schools. Many of these businesses are in the entertainment and technology sector: Activision, Snapchat, Hulu, Lyft, to name a few. We're also surrounded by a wealth of amazing healthcare and biotech contributing businesses, including Kaiser Permanente, Providence St. John, and Kite Pharma. And we have some of the best hotels and restaurants anywhere in the world that welcome more than 8 million yearly visitors to Santa Monica. We have 500 restaurants, from the most exclusive to the newest cutting-edge food concepts. With a whirlwind of opportunities, innovation, and changing business models across many sectors, the Chamber is working with local businesses to identify new strategies and sources of revenue to sustain them and sustain the community into the rapidly evolving future. For some members, it means shifting focus from traditional promotional practices to more effective social media programs, limit on-premise services, or maximize opportunities offered by home delivery networks. Some forward thinkers are adding ordering kiosks or tableside ordering technology in the dining room. 3D chocolate printers are being explored by forward-thinking bakers. But how can lasting, innovative concepts be distinguished from shorter, disruptive fads? And how can growth and innovation remain in balance with long-standing local businesses that contribute to the unique character of our city? In closing, the Chamber's mission is to help its members work smarter, be more nimble and collaborative, and also be an advocate for the needs of the business communities. We thrive to foster sustainable change, and I'm confident that a beneficial and equitable balance between regulations and innovation can be found. In this time of several headwinds, I'm reminded of some wise words from Winston Churchill, who certainly faced many headwinds during his time. If the human race wishes to have a prolonged and indefinite period of material prosperity, they have only got to behave in a peaceful and helpful way toward one another. It is now my honor, thank you. It is now my honor to welcome our mayor, Ted Winter. Mayor Ted Winter has lived in Santa Monica for over 25 years and has spent more than a decade serving our community. He was elected to Santa Monica City Council in 2012, and since then, Ted has been focused on finding solutions to Santa Monica's toughest issues. Mayor Winter is committed to ensuring that local government is nimble and responsive to residents. He is a strong supporter of locally owned businesses like mine, and is devoted to the continued excellence of the city's public schools and social services. Mayor Winter believes we must preserve diversity by protecting tenants, conserving neighborhoods, and making new housing available to people of all income levels. Ted is all in when it comes to tackling traffic and congestion. He launched monthly bike rides with the mayor to encourage locals to get up, engage, and ride. Tonight he's here to talk to us about the state of our city. It is my great honor to welcome our mayor, Ted Winter.
So thank you, West. Actually, there's been a minor glitch already in proceedings here. We're supposed to do the State of the City video before we hear from me. So you get some motion picture entertainment first. So let's see the video. A walk on the 3rd Street Promenade with fresh farmers market produce, the latest movies, street performers, restaurants and clothing stores, and people from all walks of life reminds us what an exceptional place Santa Monica is to call home. But how do we know what programs and services have the greatest impact? Just last year, Santa Monica adopted a new approach to governance that connects the work of city departments to 6 outcomes that help measure and maintain a sustainable city of well-being.
Our new Sustainable City of Wellbeing framework is built around the long-term commitment to our Sustainable City Plan, combined with the transformative data from our Wellbeing Project, which uses data to understand how people are really doing in Santa Monica. This is brought to life through Santa Monica's Performance Management Program, which utilizes data to set and achieve goals and ultimately drive performance.
Champion lifelong education achievement and opportunities for continuous personal growth is reflected in the city's strategic goal to learn and thrive. This important goal reflects our belief in providing learning opportunities at every stage in life.
For the 8th year, Santa Monica Public Library received a 5-star rating from Library Journal. The 5 Santa Monica Public Library branches had a total of 1.3 million visitors, nearly 1 million visits to the website, and 1.5 million items checked out. The library hosted over 2,200 programs, with almost 1,400 of those provided to our youth.
The Office of Emergency Management continued to offer community education and training to Santa Monica residents and employees. Public education was adapted to introduce the new concept of community resilience so that they are better prepared to withstand and recover from any type of adversity.
Another aspect of maintaining Santa Monica as a sustainable city of well-being is protecting natural resources and cultivating an exceptional and resilient environment. This was particularly important during the recent record drought experienced here in Santa Monica and throughout California in fiscal year 16-17.
Santa Monica became the first city in California to require zero net energy for all new residential construction, providing efficient, affordable, energy-independent homes. Last year saw a 13% increase in solar installations, taking us to 5.8 megawatts of solar community-wide. We also established a water neutrality ordinance, ensuring all new developments are water neutral.
Big Blue Bus purchased and put into service 25 compressed natural gas buses. Equipped with near zero emissions engines, this earned the American Public Transportation Association Silver Status Award for sustainability.
The city's mobility strategic goal includes improving ways for people to move around Santa Monica without relying on single occupancy car trips. The Expo Light Rail, which already surpassed its 2030 ridership goal with 63,000 daily riders, helps connect people to our region. There's also Breeze Bike Share, direct Big Blue bus routes with real-time information, car share, and safer walking and biking.
In January 2017, after extensive litigation, the city reached an historic agreement with the Federal Aviation Administration. Under the terms of the agreement, the city secured the ability to close the Santa Monica Airport on December 31st, 2028, and to immediately shorten the airport runway from 5,000 feet to 3,500 feet.
The city's strategic goal of maintaining an inclusive and diverse community reflects our commitment to expanding affordable housing, raising workers' incomes, and helping Santa Monica residents stay in their homes as integral members of our community.
The fire department responded to 17,069 emergency medical incidents in 2017, 77% of which were emergency medical services related.
In 2017, the Santa Monica Police Department responded to over 116,000 calls for service, including officer-initiated activity, reflecting an increase from 2016 and averaging 318 calls per day. Santa Monica finished 2017 with a 12.5% increase in Part 1 crimes in comparison to 2016, which represents a total of 5,076 offenses in 2017. Our totals are still within the comparable lows of the late 1950s and 1960s.
We all can see the sharp increase in homelessness in our city and in our region. Preventing homelessness and connecting those living on our streets to services and housing have been among the city's top 5 priorities, but we must intensify our efforts, both with our regional partners and with you, the members of our community, to grapple with this troubling problem.
Santa Monica continues to enjoy a diverse source of revenue streams. In addition, the city maintained a $9.7 million economic uncertainty fund. And for the 22nd consecutive year, Santa Monica maintained a top AAA credit rating from Fitch, S&P, and Moody's rating agencies. This high rating helps keep the cost of borrowing money low for the city, since it indicates that Santa Monica is a safe investment.
After several years of refinement and community outreach, the Downtown Community Plan was adopted in 2017. The DCP is centered around a housing-first strategy with an emphasis on affordability, preservation of historic structures, dynamic open space, and the creation of new cultural venues and experiences.
Each of us plays a crucial role in making Santa Monica a city that works for everyone. Collaborating as one community, we've accomplished a lot this year. However, some of our biggest challenges lie ahead, for which we have a new executive team to lead Santa Monica.
We are dedicated to finding new solutions to Santa Monica's biggest challenges and monitoring success while we adjust programs and services to work better for our citizens.
Santa Monica looks to be a leader in policy development that supports our goals in diversity, sustainability, mobility, and more.
Working together with our diverse and active community, we look forward to tackling the critical issues like homelessness and achieving our goal of Vision Zero to eradicate traffic and pedestrian fatalities, as well as improving city services to better serve you. We invite you to join us in building Santa Monica as a sustainable city of well-being.
Well, that's much better. See, I'm supposed to talk about the road ahead, so we're supposed to see the road behind first. There's a certain elegant symmetry we had in mind. But you know, things happen. Before I get on with my remarks, good evening, everyone. I want to give a shout out to City TV for that video. You did a great job. You might have noticed that they have a couple of new drones they've been having a lot of fun with. And I also want to acknowledge, I don't know if you noticed when you came in, if you got a glass of water, the kids from PAL are out there serving us our fine Santa Monica tap water. So as you just saw, 2017 was a remarkable and productive year, and 2018 brings new challenges. Tonight, I'm going to talk to you about the biggest truth I've experienced this past year as your mayor. When we are united as a community, good things happen. Our work today can build a more resilient and more vibrant community for tomorrow. My colleagues on the City Council and I are rallying around the common values of Santa Monica. We are an inclusive community. We believe in protecting our environment for future generations. We strive to foster the well-being of everyone. As we look to the year ahead, I'd like to share with you 20 areas of focus for the City of Santa Monica as we endeavor to protect and strengthen these values. There's no denying the magnitude of homelessness when 13,000 people lose their housing every month in Los Angeles County. We're doing a lot. It's not enough. We're investing in more people and more resources across the police department and in our libraries, parks, and public spaces.
and we're asking for the best ideas from everyone in this room. We must work together to help our most vulnerable. I and my fellow council members attended numerous community conversations in late 2017. We heard what key qualities our city manager should look for in our next police chief. We listened to personal experiences of crime reaching into our neighborhoods, and we're working hard to address the recent uptick. Between 2006 and 2016, collisions in Santa Monica resulted in a yearly average of 4 fatalities. Last year alone, that number was 9. Sweden, the birthplace of Vision Zero, has seen an 80% reduction in fatalities and now has the world's safest roads, with only 3 deaths per 100,000 residents. In Santa Monica, 0 is the only acceptable number. $41.8 billion. That's the amount Metro is investing in new transportation infrastructure as a result of Measure M. In the next 40 years, subway and light rail will become the norm as we get around the county and our city. We already have a multimodal network, and we will continue to invest in infrastructure and local policies to be at the forefront of this cultural shift. As you just heard in the video, we have made great strides towards our water and carbon goals, but getting to carbon neutrality will not be easy, and each of us will have to do our part. To learn how, I invite you to join us for our Climate Fest on May 19th to kick off our new Climate Action and Adaptation Plan. Since 1994, 38% of all multifamily housing constructed here in Santa Monica has been deed restricted to affordable income levels. That's 4,500 units for low to moderate income individuals and families. Yet rising rents threaten to displace too many of our residents. This is one of the great challenges before us because our character and culture comes from our people. We must protect our existing affordable housing stock and invest in new housing inventory that can keep Santa Monica a reality for future generations. We've made significant strides for our youngest residents, yet 1/3 are still not ready for kindergarten. We are focused on closing the achievement gap by investing in early childhood education. Because in Santa Monica, we believe every single child should have an equal start. "87% of adults aged 65 and older want to stay in their current home and community as they age. Our multimodal city with access to amenities and services makes Santa Monica ideal to age in place. We must continue to think of our senior community as we develop future infrastructure, programs, and housing. The Well-Being Index indicates that residents in the 90404 zip code have the lowest life satisfaction and the highest economic worry. We need to dig deeper to understand and meaningfully support our neighbors. We also know 1/3 of our residents report feeling they have little influence on city decision-making. That's a rallying cry for us to create new ways for the public to be heard and to get involved. Speaking of our well-being, in Santa Monica, I'm proud to say we celebrate our diversity and embrace our differences despite the messages coming from the White House. For instance, we contributed funds to help Dreamers re-enroll, opposed Trump's travel bans in court, and along with cities and states representing half of the US population, committed to the carbon reduction goals in the Paris Climate Accord. And I have to say this, I said this last year, I said it again, with all due respect to Nat Travis, Mr. Santa Monica, in the interest of gender equity, it's about time we have a Ms. Santa Monica. And if we don't have one at next year's event, I'm gonna be out there leading the picket line, so it's a call to action. So we're beginning our work on the PICO neighborhood plan and retaining the character of our single-family neighborhoods. Our city has a strong sense of place, but how do we continue to ensure paper planning comes to life on our streets? Through strong policies and broad community input, we can make great places not just buildings. This was one of the primary topics at last week's U.S. Conference of Mayors. Every city in the world needs to be prepared for disasters, both natural and man-made, including ours. Santa Monica has a strong emergency preparedness program, but it counts on you to do your part. Be vigilant, have a plan so together we can be a resilient community. Also, every city needs to communicate critical information to the public, yet the abundance of media sources can make it complicated. We've challenged our staff to find ways to cut through the noise to make sure the public has immediate, easy access to city information. We want you to know what's going on and how to get involved. If you don't know already, follow the city on social media or sign up for the SAMO News newsletter. Santa Monica has some great outdoor public space, and we're working on adding more. Soon, we will welcome 12 acres at Airport Park and a great new sports field at the Civic Center. And we invite you to be part of the process as we begin envisioning our great park at the airport when it closes after 2028. There are 850 businesses participating in our Buy Local program who hire locally and actively support the community. We make a collective difference every day when we support local Santa Monica businesses. So we must recognize the challenges of operating a small business and do more to foster entrepreneurship. We've had the great privilege of meeting 28 startups this year through Hack the Beach. And this year's winning team, Project Minder, is here with us. They developed a tool designed to help first responders identify unused bed spaces in hospitals for the homeless. We must continue to nurture this kind of synergy with our local tech partners. Like a skilled carpenter or a fine tailor, we must measure and measure again for the best results. City Hall is committed to making data-informed decisions. Rigorous efforts have been made to measure our outcomes to do more of what works and less of what doesn't. There are profound and rapid changes to our economy in the way we work and how consumers prefer experiences over goods. The changes require us to be nimble and responsive. We know, for instance, that 79% of Americans say they now make purchases online. For a community with some of the highest brick-and-mortar rents, we need to understand what this means for our local economy. It's the theme of tonight's event and the future we must prepare for. And in closing, look around this room. It's brimming with passion, expertise, and deep commitment to Santa Monica. Now shift your focus to the year ahead. How will we meet the challenges in 2018 and beyond as a united Santa Monica? If you watched the State of the Union this week, and you're even more confused by our national politics, know that, as I mentioned, just last week I was in Washington, D.C. for the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Mayors, both Republican and Democrats, came together to discuss immigration, climate change, and economic opportunity, and all the other challenges cities across the United States face. Because mayors, we know that change happens locally, and the City Council and I are prepared to partner with nonprofits, businesses, and residents, the entire community, to strengthen Santa Monica for today and for the future. Thank you for your partnership.
Thank you, Mayor Winter. Now let's welcome to the stage Cindy Giordano-Taylor, Senior Director of Marketing with CBRE for the Water Garden and co-chair of the State of the City Event Committee.
Thank you and good evening. Our next speaker has served local communities for over 3 decades. He's a devout public servant with a fierce commitment to diversity and equity. He's leading Santa Monica into the 21st century as a champion of innovation with a focus on measuring progress through data. He's doubling down on homelessness and has a vision for how we can better engage every member of our community. He takes Santa Monica's new model of mobility very seriously, biking to work often. He has received numerous recognitions, including one of America's Public Officials of the Year by Governing Magazine. Most of you know him. Many retweet him. And we're happy to welcome him, your city manager, Rick Cole.
Santa Monica today is an economic success story. There are 88 cities in Los Angeles County. We're 19th in population, but we're third highest in assessed property valuation. Our city government has over $1.5 billion in net assets, and that's the second highest per capita in LA County cities, second out of 88 cities. Our diverse economy and our strong balance sheet has earned, as you heard a moment ago, Santa Monica the highest bond rating that a public agency can achieve. And this provides our residents with unmatched quality of services and up-to-date infrastructure. That translates into more library story hours, faster medical response times, expanded playfields, less ocean pollution, and cleaner and greener neighborhoods. But in a changing world, we can't take prosperity for granted. To chart a sustainable future, it's vital to understand why Santa Monica is prosperous today. There's a popular myth that until recently, Santa Monica was a sleepy little beach community. This myth has no basis in fact. The historic record is clear. Back in 1880, Santa Monica had 417 residents. In the next 10 years, the population tripled. In the next 10 years, it doubled. In the 10 years after that, it doubled again. And in the 10 years after that, it doubled yet again. And then, in the next 10 years, it doubled yet again, when our population reached nearly 40,000 by 1930. Population growth slowed during the Depression, but still, over the next 2 decades, the population again doubled. The record clearly demonstrates that Santa Monica was a boom town from its very start. It was slated to be the main port of LA until San Pedro stole that prize. Douglas Aircraft alone employed over 44,000 workers in its Santa Monica factory. And the arrival of the 10 freeway brought even more development. In fact, by the 60s, downtown Santa Monica, Ocean Park neighborhood, and the Pico neighborhood were all seeing the symptoms of urban blight and decline, including obsolete factories, empty storefronts, rising crime, and falling property values. You know, few people realize that Santa Monica's population reached a peak of 88,000 back in 1970. In fact, our population didn't surpass that level again until nearly 40 years later. Instead of doubling every 10 years, as we did for the first half century of our existence, over the last half century, Santa Monica's barely grown 10%. Now, looking back, like many declining American cities in the 60s, Santa Monica pursued what was then erroneously called urban renewal. Historic neighborhoods, many of them occupied by poor and minority residents, were bulldozed. While those policies brought things like the Civic Auditorium, they failed to spark a sustainable revival. So in the 70s, Santa Monica was in economic decline. Well, what turned Santa Monica around? It was an inspired strategic vision. Now, there was no single genius that formulated all the key ideas, but during the early 80s, one of my predecessors as city manager assembled an overall strategy drawing on the work of council members like Nat Travis, who was mayor in the 70s, and in 3 short years that he was on the job, put together the policies that have worked so well since. And his successor brilliantly implemented that, and visionary council members and the next 3 city managers kept the momentum going, and that's what's created the prosperity that we enjoy today. My predecessor's vision was built around 3 primary elements. Welcome to the circus. first element was the outmoded factories on the eastern edge of town were gradually replaced by first-class offices like the Water Garden. Second, the moribund pedestrian mall in downtown was redesigned as the 3rd Street Promenade, and it sparked a downtown retail revival. And third, Santa Monica was recast from a beach city that drew day visitors and motel guests to a genuine visitor destination, adding customers to the retail, dining, entertainment, and cultural venues in our community. So that's it. Office business, retail, sales, and tourism. A relentless focus on those 3 elements has made Santa Monica into an economic powerhouse. Yes, there were other important factors. The city's investment in high-speed fiber helped launch tech businesses that have grown into Silicon Beach. And instead of subsidizing private development, Santa Monica invested all of its redevelopment money into infrastructure and affordable housing. And rent control helped keep Santa Monica more affordable for our local workforce. But the central basis of our economic success was this sustained focus on offices, retail, and tourism. Now, here's the challenge. When it comes to office business, not only is the market rapidly changing, but there simply is no appetite in the community for more office development given the headaches of West Side traffic. And when it comes to retail sales, not only has regional competition intensified, but retail itself nationally is declining due to changing consumer choices. And when it comes to tourism, while it's still important, fierce regional competition and the rise of home sharing has made it more difficult for us to sustain the growth we've seen in recent years. And let's face it, our community doesn't want to become a giant cruise ship, and discerning visitors are not going to come to a place that's overrun with tourists. So we shouldn't be surprised that the economic vision of the early 80s has reached a point of diminishing returns. 4 decades is a remarkable run for any economic strategy. It's worked so well and for so long that unfortunately we've come to take it for granted. But we can't forget a basic law of economics. Things that can't go on forever, don't. And if we're to protect the vital services we provide every day to Santa Monica's 93,000 residents, we must act. So our mayor and our city council have given city staff the job of partnering with our community to forge a new community vision, led by 2 very talented Santa Monica residents, our Housing and Economic Development Director, Andy Agel, and our new Deputy City Manager, Anuj Gupta. The Economic Sustainability Plan will not be simply an update of the old strategy. We aren't looking for 3 major magic keys to the future. In fact, as the next 2 speakers are going to illuminate, we live in a time when the economy is just too dynamic to base a long-term economic strategy on specific industries. In fact, the Economic Sustainability Plan we're embarking upon will not be focused as much on what we do as how we do it here in Santa Monica. And so first we have to acknowledge that there's no such thing as a strictly Santa Monica economy. We're only 8.3 square miles out of the 4,000 miles just here in LA County and surrounded by Los Angeles on 3 sides. Our job is not to create an economic island. Our job is to find our place in the larger economy of Southern California and the world beyond. Now, it's too soon to paint a picture of what the Economic Sustainability Plan will contain, but today I want to sketch out for you briefly how we plan to co-create with you this plan, drawing on the best ideas in our community and beyond. Now, the Santa Monica Chamber of Commerce is an obvious collaborator, and today marks the first step in introducing this plan and this effort to the community. But we're going to be reaching out to civic groups, to labor, to neighborhood associations, to public and private schools, as well as colleges, think tanks, and foundations. And we recognize that planning for the future may seem to compete for attention with more urgent priorities. So we recognize we can't duck immediate issues like homelessness and housing affordability, and we can't neglect genuine resident concerns about crime and traffic and development. But like the visionaries of 40 years ago, we have the responsibility to look beyond the crises of today to forge a better tomorrow. So let's focus on two important upcoming dates. 2019, amazingly enough, will mark 250 years since an expedition of Spaniards discovered a nearby spring, and they dubbed it Santa Monica because it reminded them of St. Monica's tears. And another important date looms just a decade ahead. 2028 will be the year that LA will host the Olympics, including a major beach volleyball venue right here in our community. And 10 years may seem like a long time, but it will arrive before we know it. So this year, 2018, we'll enlist partners, we'll do the economic research and the analysis, and we'll convene with you lively dialogue about our shared economic future. And then in 2019, together we will formulate a powerful economic sustainability plan marking our 250th anniversary as a community and looking ahead to where we want to be 10 years from now when we welcome the world to Santa Monica. President Kennedy used to quote what he called an old Chinese curse. May you live in interesting times. Well, we live in interesting times. Unfortunately, many previous generations didn't think much about the future because they were too busy building up a boomtown. And some previous generations were too short-sighted, and they took shortcuts that ultimately fell short of sustaining their economy. The question for us today: will our generation be visionary enough to create a brighter future? Can we ensure that Santa Monica, the Santa Monica we love, is enhanced in the decades ahead? We have to practice our core values. We have to preserve our unique community identity. And we have to roll up our sleeves, Santa Monica, and do the planning and the hard work to implement so that what lies ahead ensures that we leave our city not only more equitable, more sustainable, but more prosperous than we found it. Thank you so much. Now it's my genuine pleasure to welcome Debs Schrimmer, who is the Transportation Policy Director at the innovative transportation provider Lyft. My daughter, who's in the audience, is a big user of it. And Deb, right after college, got on a bike and rode across the entire country on a bike. So she's a person who's passionately committed to transportation and to alternatives. So let's welcome Debs Schrimmer.
Thanks, Rick, and thank you for having me here today. It's an honor to be here at Santa Monica's State of the City and to be part of an exciting conversation about the city's future in light of demographic shifts and rapid changes in technology. As we look ahead to the future, it's important to understand where we are and where we've come from. In fact, just 5 years ago, Lyft began to operate here in Santa Monica. Today, we are a vital part of the transportation fabric, supporting the city's economic engine, allowing passengers to explore the city, helping them spend money in the local economy, and stay out longer with a safe and reliable ride home. This is a snapshot of some of the top destinations here in Santa Monica. And Lyft passengers are busy. According to our 2018 Economic Impact Report, they're using Lyft to grocery shop, visit family and friends, travel, go shopping, and help with their commute to work. As we look to the future, we believe our strategy for autonomous vehicles can continue to be a tool for local economic development. We believe that the best social, environmental, and economic future is if we operate at the intersection of three distinct phenomena: sharing, automation, and electrification. To build this fleet of autonomous electric vehicles, we're working alongside a fantastic group of partners, including Ford, GM, Jaguar Land Rover, Aptiv, and Waymo. A recent report found that in this business model, transportation costs for the consumer will actually be 10 times cheaper than today's model of individually owned vehicles. By reducing the cost of transportation, we'll be able to expand mobility and save the average American family household over $5,000 a year, money that can be directly reinvested back in the local economy. It all sounds pretty good, right? Sounds like we have a silver bullet here. But if only it were that easy. The rise of autonomous vehicles could induce new development and create negative impacts on our communities, such as increased sprawl and suburbanization. And it turns out, an electric, self-driving vehicle traffic jam, it's still a traffic jam, and that bears real costs. A recent study from the traffic analysis group INRIX found that in 2013, traffic congestion cost Americans $124 billion a year, and this number could rise to over $180 billion a year by 2030. The study found that the Los Angeles region alone accounts for nearly 20% of congestion costs in the United States. These costs come from fuel wasted on idle emissions, the effects of traffic congestion on our environment, and time wasted while stuck in traffic. And for those of you that say, it's okay, with autonomous vehicles, we'll be able to work in our car and be so productive, don't lie, I know that this is a city that loves their Hulu accounts. To help avoid these costs, what are the steps that Santa Monica can take to support a thriving and sustainable future for the next 30 to 50 years? The good news is that the city is already creating a strong framework that emphasizes a menu of options for people to get from A to B, and making sure that a car isn't always the default choice. It's a mix of walking, biking, transit, Lyft line, and maybe even a service that doesn't yet exist. We know that as the population changes, millennials and baby boomers alike are interested in multimodal travel. At the same time, transit, the backbone of cities, is going to become a more blended service that straddles the public and private sector. New technologies will continue to create new tools to provide transit, helping agencies meet consumer expectations for on-demand, real-time, app-based services. And this will help support a shifting employment trend that we're beginning to see, as traditional transit is designed largely for commuters and students. With a changing workforce that isn't necessarily relying on a 9-to-5 schedule, partnerships across the public and private sectors will be critical to keep people moving. Already, Big Blue Bus is beginning to embrace this. Lyft is proud to be partnering with them on their Blue at Night initiative, and we look forward to continue working on Mode, an innovative reimagining of their dial-a-ride service. And for Los Angeles County more broadly, where voters approved the Measure M sales tax to fund transit investments over the next 4 decades, LA Metro will be able to focus on high-capacity, high-quality service. Finally, it means thinking about place. Disruptive technologies like automation are going to have a tremendous impact on real estate, changing demand for parking, for retail, office space, commercial, everything. But fortunately, the city already has a strong vision for what kind of community it wants to be. The Downtown Community Plan presents a strong roadmap for a thriving downtown that's able to weave together the different pieces of a vibrant, thriving economy. World-class restaurants, hotels, public plazas to create a sense of place, wide sidewalks and bike lanes, and a transit hub to make it accessible, and co-working spaces to reflect the changing nature of work. All of this will continue to unfold as the city's urban footprint grows and evolves in the years to come. In closing, without a crystal ball, it's hard to know exactly how and where and when disruptive technologies are going to transform our communities. But to support economic sustainability, the city needs to embrace an increasingly multimodal future. It needs to find creative partnerships with the private sector, and it needs to continue to implement a bold vision that makes this city worth visiting and living in. So with that, Santa Monica, we should all buckle up and hold on. It's gonna be a wild ride. Thank you.
Thank you, Debs. Now let's welcome to the stage the head honcho at Expert Dojo and a co-chair of the State of the City Event Committee, Brian McMahon.
Hello, everybody. We are in for another treat this evening. Dr. Sabrina Kay is going to come up on stage in a second. I'd like to just give you a quick public bio, and then I'll give you a little private bio as well, so you can get a little bit more of a deep insight to this very, very special speaker. So Dr. Sabrina Kay, serial entrepreneur, philanthropist, who started no less than 7 diverse ventures, including the Art Institute of Hollywood, which was sold to EDMC and then to Goldman Sachs, Premier Business Bank, Fashion Umbrella, Fremont Private Investments, and her most passionate and current project is as Chancellor of Fremont College. As a philanthropist, she founded the Sabrina Kay Charitable Foundation. She's chaired After School, if anybody knows the All Stars, a phenomenal organization, since 2004, and served on over 30 different charitable and civic boards. She's been recognized with numerous notable awards, including Woman of the Year by the California Legislature, finalist for Entrepreneur of the Year by Ernst & Young. I'm starting to feel really, really inadequate right now. And was introduced to the Hall of Fame by California Association of Post-Secondary Schools. Now, she not only is an awesome entrepreneur, not only is charitable and helps the community, but she's kind of smart as well. She earned her joint doctorate degree in work-based learning leadership at the Wharton School of Graduate School of Education at the University of Pennsylvania. She holds not single, but double master's degrees, an MBA from USC, a master's of, oh, listen, enough, too much, right? Now, I'm going to tell you why I think that she's so incredibly awesome. For me, this is my 3rd State of the City as co-chair, which I do, and I'm very, very proud to be a part of. I feel always when we have this evening, it's kind of a fusion of how residential in Santa Monica fuses really beautifully with business in Santa Monica to take us to this amazing harmony and gives us the American dream every day. Now, Sabrina, for me, is the embodiment of that American dream. She started not from a place where it was easy to become a billionaire in a business, but really humble beginnings, an immigrant, and turned into a multi-billionaire. Yes, that's a B. And in my opinion, the most successful entrepreneur that's been produced in my lifetime in Santa Monica. So, at this moment, enough from me. I'm proud to bring on stage my friend and icon of entrepreneurship here in Santa Monica, Ms. Sabrina Kay.
Thank you so much, Brian, for that overly generous, I guess, compliment. My mom told me that I have to lower everyone's expectations so that I can be successful, and he totally killed it for me. I saw him this morning, and I thought it was illegal to wear ties in Santa Monica, and I saw him in a red tie, so I went home and changed for you guys. So thank you. I'm so honored to be here. I'm brand new in Santa Monica, and this is one of the many, many photos on my iPhone. I think my true immigration really happened coming in Santa Monica. Like Brian said, I came from South Korea as a poor immigrant, and we didn't have any money. Started as a janitor, scrubbing floors and toilets in offices at night. And our family went around in the yard sale and bought a lot of junk from different yard sale, and then we sold it on streets in swap meet. But because of this amazing country and the opportunities that has given to anybody so generously, both of my brothers became medical doctors, and I was able to start a company as a single mom and a college dropout, and was able to retire. So I went back to school to be a teacher. But when my immigration, I say that my American immigration came to the second country that I immigrated, which is Santa Monica. This is a completely different country by itself. It just has different council, different culture, different communities, and it's just astonishing to see how the city has changed for the last 10 years of hotels, shops, and it's just not a beach town. It is a mecca of where the innovation happens, and we're so lucky to be part of this. So I guess today's summit, the question that we have is, where do we go from here? The way we ask is, we don't answer that question because I was told that if you play with a crystal ball, you're gonna drop it and you will be hurt by shattered 1,000 pieces of glasses. So I'm not gonna do that, but I want to share the history with you. In the 19th century, when the cars came into our lives, no one decided to use horse carriages anymore. And I don't know anybody who uses horses for transportation today. In 1876, when Alexander Graham Bell made that historical phone call, nobody sends a telegraph, says, I have to see you right now, right? So what's happening? This is 750 years of England, the economic growth. So if you look at it, for the last 100 years of economic growth is vastly different than the first 650 years. And it's because of what happened in the late 19th century of transportation and communication. That is called exponential growth. Is that going to continue? Where are we in that part of that exponential growth? One of my favorite quotes is, days are long, but years are short. I come home sometimes, and I'm sure you have those days too. Today was a long day, but where did 2017 go? What happened? So if you look at the part of that exponential growth of the 90-degree hockey stick, and take one day, 1 week, or 1 month, actually the graph becomes a completely different graph. It becomes flatter and rounder. And because of that, future is very hard to predict, and it's very difficult to feel what type of a velocity of the speed that we're involved right now. But one thing I can tell you is our great-grandchildren will look back today, maybe the next 10 years, and say, that was a time. And I don't know exactly what they're gonna say, but some of the possibilities are, I think that they used to carry those paper money to go to shops to buy stuff. Or I think humans used to drive cars in the 21st century. I don't know, that could be a possibility. Deb may be totally disagreeing with me in the back, so we'll talk about it when we sit there. This is a hometown of many, many, many unicorns. This is where all these innovation happened. It's not a beach town. It is a town for thought leaders. Santa Monica, together with Palo Alto and New York, is leading the technological innovation. And we should all be so proud of it. And we should be so lucky to be part of this innovation, part of the history. We're in the middle of the eye of the storm. It doesn't happen every day. We're right here, right at this moment, in Santa Monica. So how lucky are we? So when you look ahead, what is blockchain going to change us? Is escrow companies and title companies going to be okay? Are we going to sign papers when we buy houses? How about retail? When AR comes into our lives, is the retail space going to change vastly differently? How do we watch TV or movies with VR? Are we going to have relationships, or are we going to have a relationship with AI who really understands us? There will be no fighting. But when there will be machine learning, then AI may be a lot more difficult to deal with than your real spouse at home. So Is that going to be friend or foe? What's happening with our lives? Think about it. And this is really, really exciting, but also very scary. When there's fear, we have 4 different responses. Humans have freeze, that's being paralyzed in front of fear, or flee, they run. Bad response is hide, but great response would be fight that fear. And once you have adopted your action plan with your fear, then your fear can actually become a superpower. And that's the possibility that we have here in Santa Monica. If we don't do that, because of the fear of the speed we're at, there will be leveling off. This is called logistic growth that comes after exponential growth. And these are the limitations. Competition, we already have cities around us like Playa del Rey, Venice. All these cities are emulating what we have done in Santa Monica. The space we have, we're talking about housing and traffic, resources, most importantly, human capital pipeline. Are we ready for that speed? And if we don't prepare, that logistic growth will, at best, will be just leveling it off. And then it can go either way. Okay? And that decision is up to us in this room. That decision is our responsibility. When we eliminate that limitation, it's called the carrying capacity. When you get rid of that carrying capacity, then we're ready for the second growth of that exponential growth. So as policymakers, business owners, residents in Santa Monica, it is our responsibility to listen and collaborate together to figure out what these carrying capacity is. How do we get rid of it? How do we prepare Santa Monica for the second phase of exponential growth? That is the question that we have today. So as a community, we'll all pause and ask, what questions would we ask? When I came to Santa Monica as a teacher, one thing that is very evident, although I'm not going to predict the future, I can predict that we need better education. We need to educate and we need to prepare all of us to be ready for the 21st century. Biggest disparity in this amazing country that I see is not socioeconomical disparity, it's disparity of knowledge and education. If you look at the inner city, those inner city kids do not have an opportunity to Ivy League schools. It is heartbreaking. As an immigrant, I feel almost inadequate that I was able to go to an Ivy League school where our own children in this country don't have that opportunity. So how do we make that social justice and social equity to give them the reskilling as well as preparation for the 21st century? A lot of great businesses are not going to be prepared as we are part of that exponential growth. Remember, we're on that 90-degree hockey stick speed. How do we prepare that? So with Fremont College and Dale Carnegie training, what I really am committing to you is I would love to collaborate with any businesses who need proper skilling training, as well as last mile training for your employees. That is so important for all businesses to look ahead of the 21st century. As a city, as Mayor Winterer and City Manager Rick Cole have discussed, it is really the housing, traffic patterns, healthcare, mental and physical. The city has done such an amazing job, but we have a lot more work to do. So how do we all collaborate together as one community? When you look at blue zone studies of so many different countries, the Venn diagram of the middle, of the common denominator, is a community and the knowledge. So today, I'm so looking forward to sitting down with the leaders and discuss and have that communication as a community and see what we need to do to leave this place a little bit better place for our next generation. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Now I'd like to welcome back to the stage Sabrina Kay, Deb Schwimmer, and Rick Cole so that they can answer some of your questions.
Good evening again. So let's give another round of applause to two fabulous contributors. Sabrina, you talked about the limitations of carrying capacity and the need to get beyond them, and particularly touched a number of times in your remarks about human capital. And Debs, you employ a tremendous amount of human capital to make Lyft work. People who, if we go to autonomous vehicles, will not be having those jobs. So let's talk about how, as you challenged us, we prepare this and next generation for the changes that are coming. Obviously, there's higher education, there's K through 12, and here in Santa Monica, trying to make sure that every kindergartner arrives ready to learn, knows their colors, knows their numbers, ready to read. What can we all do to make sure that Santa Monica College is full of students learning the tools and the skills they'll need to succeed?
I would look at all education in three different parts: pre-elementary, and then I would look at 1 through 12, and then post-secondary. And then after post-secondary, it would be more of a vocational and skills training. So if you just divide it into those four, the needs are very, very different. Before post-secondary is more of an investment. Post-secondary is really, there's a fierce sense of urgency of now. We have a skills gaps training. So you kind of look at it in a very different ways, especially if you look at something like Uber or Lyft, who houses so many different employees, and we're afraid that autonomous cars are going to kill that employment. I say no. When the typists became computer operators, no one lost a job. The secretaries became executive assistants, and executive assistants became chief of staff. So it's reskilling, and the training is it's more of a marketplace problem. People would know that as long as there's an education to support, people will be able to get into the jobs that's required in the marketplace.
And thoughts about what we can do in our 8.3 square miles to facilitate that?
So you talked about Santa Monica College. I would say Santa Monica colleges.
Absolutely.
So there should be a lot of Santa Monica colleges. Employers must be the colleges to train their employees. All the businesses, you're not in the restaurant business, you're not in the hotel business anymore, you're in education business.
And that applies to government as well. Our Santa Monica Institute is that in-house learning institute.
Yeah.
And folks like our police department do 40 hours of additional training beyond what's required by the state every single year for every single one of our sworn and most of our unsworn staff. It's a tremendous investment of time and energy, but is it worth it, Chief? Okay. Debs, you focused on a pretty wide range of topics here in Santa Monica, and obviously Lyft is interested in how it fits in. You know that we're partnering with you to cut costs and to improve service on our dial-a-ride so that people will be able to get to where they're going faster.
That's right.
They'll be able to book that ride way faster. They'll be able to get there way cheaper, so we'll be able to provide more rides. How does a worldwide company like Lyft fit into a local community?
Absolutely. I think that's a great question, because what we're realizing that if we want to realize our mission of improving people's lives with the world's best transportation, it's really important to be a true partner with the communities that we serve. And that means working directly with the cities and the transit agencies that provide a spectrum of transportation options. And we know that transit agencies face real challenges providing high-quality mobility services to everyone. And so by being able to actually sit down at the table with the city of Santa Monica and understand how Big Blue Bus fits into that picture, we're thinking about how we can really transform mobility for a group that needs it most. We're so excited to think about the potential of the Dial-A-Ride service and what this means for the city's seniors. But it's really being done in partnership and creating this new way of thinking about delivering services where it isn't the private services doing one thing and public transit doing the other. It's really a blending of service and being able to focus on what public transit can do best with big buses and commuter rail, and what services like Lyft can do with smaller vehicles and on-demand technology.
And what advice for our economic sustainability plan do you have? You're based upon your experience with Code for America, your experience now with Lyft, the very dynamic and challenging economy in the Bay Area where issues of equity are front and center as they are here in our community. What are the lessons you would offer Santa Monica so we look ahead to long-term economic sustainability?
Absolutely. And I think that the city is already really starting to think about this, but it's recognizing that to create a 21st century government, it's not just thinking about delivering the services, it's thinking about how we deliver them, why we deliver them, who the user is, and creating a more streamlined way to focus on the user and create a delightful service. And that's one of the things that we actually do really well at Lyft. We are focused on the overall experience and being able to use data to drive the decisions that we make to provide a delightful experience. I see the city of Santa Monica being able to think about that when they think about how they provide services like a business permit or being able to have your child register for school. Being able to create that process.
We're exploring rating what people think about the folks who give them tickets, on a 1 to 5 scale.
You'll have to let me know how that goes. But it's about having that data and being able to create that feedback loop where you understand the user need, you have data to help tell that story, and then be able to design a service that actually meets that need. It's not just specific to transportation, it's for all these services.
Well, actually, we urgently want to make sure actually that no one ever gets a ticket so that people have on their phones and they know when their time is running out and they can, with a couple of taps, be able to re-up or to get back in time to move their car. That's the direction we're trying to drive city services to be more digital. What are the advices? What's the advice you would give Santa Monica for our long-term sustainability plan, Sabrina?
I think one of the most important things to think about is how do we bring in more vibrant businesses to Santa Monica without hurting the infrastructure of the city. I love all the hotels and restaurants here that are just really fantastic, innovative and creative chefs, and the spaces are amazing. But what are the other businesses beyond these businesses that we can bring to Santa Monica, that Santa Monica can actually do better than any other cities?
And in that spirit, I want to turn to your questions, which I have on my lap here. In light of the changes in retailing, Barnes & Noble, a national chain, is closing. We've lost some other local beloved businesses like Busy Bee Hardware. The question that's being asked is by Gans Media, what types of incentives are being offered to traditional brick and mortar retailers to attract new business to Santa Monica? I'm not going to ask you to answer that, although you said we should be doing that. Let me take one of the things we are moving to do is to make getting permits at our city much easier. That is possible to do, and we have a great team on the ground floor of City Hall working to do that. And we're already seeing some results. We're getting great feedback from chamber members who've been through the process. So the old horror stories, we challenge you to come down and see the progress we're making to make it easier. We're working, for example, with Santa Monica Place on bringing in some exciting new businesses front and center there. So one thing is to make the process easier to operate. We have a wonderful Shop Local business, which is a great partnership with the local businesses and with the Chamber of Commerce and our downtown Santa Monica and the other business improvement districts in town. But it's going to be a real challenge, and I think it has to be more than city government incentives. I think we have to shop at our local businesses, right? It may be convenient to go online at 2 in the morning and order up from Amazon, but if we're going to walk the walk of sustainability for our economy, we have to support the people who support us. Guarantee you Amazon is not sponsoring any Little League teams in our community. Guarantee you that Amazon is not paying its dues to the Santa Monica Chamber of Commerce. Not to say that Santa Monica or that Amazon is something you should never use, but think about all of the local resources. Another question we have here is, how do you keep in contact with the local government? Stallion 319 asks. You heard a little bit of that. You may have missed that in the in our annual report, but we have a weekly SAMO News. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I suppose you could follow us on Bird. I just saw some figures today that we were talking with an Israeli company that monitors social media. A little creepy, except it's all public. And it turns out that 54% of the talking about Santa Monica is generated by some of the information that we're generating through our Office of Communications, compared to only about 46% that's sort of self-generated. He said he's never seen that high a percentage. Usually it's about 75% self-generated. So we're getting important news out. Sabrina, one of the key issues that we heard pretty strong applause on when Mayor Winterer spoke was defending our immigrant community. And as an immigrant, how do we get past the polarizing politics of Washington and genuinely make sure that we are an inclusive and maintain our diversity and inclusive community? What's your perspective?
When people talk about immigration in America, it's such an interesting topic. When you think about any other country in the world, and you look at human capital as a resource, most immigration happens at 33. It's the most average age of immigration. Most monies are spent in economy from 35 to 55. So most countries have paid for that economic machine, and we actually, America, stole that machine to come and spend it in America. So, if you look at it that way in a pure economic sense, and the people who came to this country...
It's a brain gain.
It's no-brainer.
Exactly.
Because mathematically, if you bring instead of bring a seed, you bring a harvest orange tree. You're gonna get oranges right now. It's just a no-brainer, instead of harvesting for several years to get to the orange. So pure economic sense, I think it's just really important to understand. And then also the quality of the immigration, we're talking about legal immigration. Most people who came here have somewhat of education or connection to the government, or even ran faster than other people to come to this country. So you're not getting really bottom of the barrel, you're getting top of the crop. So that's one of the reasons why America has done so well, because the immigrants who came to this country are, one, scared not to make it, and two, they came with the work ethic that they're going to do whatever they can to make it. So as a country, I think embracing that immigration is really an important factor. I'm not, again, talking about illegal immigration, because if that's involved with gangs and drugs of illegal immigration, that's very dangerous. So we make our borders very strong so that but encourage legal immigration as much as possible. And just treat the immigrants equally. That's pretty much all immigrants are asking for. They're not asking for any handouts. There is no entitlement. I think most immigrants are just really, really grateful they arrived.
And I'll just push back. I agree. Just push back a little bit about studies have shown that actually immigrants are less likely to commit crimes than native-born Americans. Debs and Sabrina, one topic, one dimension we haven't touched on, and that's the role of women. This is a city that has some extraordinary women leaders, and so I think the challenge for meeting Mayor Winterer's having a Ms. Santa Monica is which one do we pick? Our college president, our city attorney, our chair of the Chamber of Commerce, our Mayor Pro Tem. There's a tremendous number of women leaders in business and civic and education. But this is a moment. This is a moment when women are saying time's up to being discriminated against, to being harassed, to being minimized. What role can women play in being a catalyst in showing the world how to be entrepreneurs, how to be educators, how to be leaders, and how to more than do their share of creating a better future? Debs?
Absolutely. At Lyft, we recognize that the type of community that we want to build and the future of transportation needs to take into account a diverse set of perspectives. And generally, the people that are making decisions about how our city grows and develops is dominated by men. We want to see more female representation in local government, in transit, in city planning, in our business services that are creating new businesses and opportunities, and bringing those perspectives, particularly around safety, which is so important when you think about the built environment and the transportation services we use. We want to have people thinking about how does a family navigate a city? How does someone in a wheelchair or someone with a disability get around? And being able to have a unique set of experiences is going to create richer, thriving, and more vibrant communities.
I want to give credit where credit is due. I now glance down and I see that my question was anticipated by one of our Commission on the Status of Women members who phrased it this way. How can we empower women to actively participate in the discussions about the future of Santa Monica? Sabrina.
As much as I love advocating for social equality and social equity, I do not believe the government should enter into the affirmative action. It's already illegal to discriminate against women. I think women are not weaker species that needs to be protected. Mm-hmm. Women have equal rights in this country. If we think women are treated not equally, what other country would you go? But I think what government and the research institutions can do and must do is why women leadership is important. Mm-hmm. Why it's important, why the diversity can actually make more money. You get much further with sugar than vinegar. And once that study is done, rather than the study of women get paid 70% of what men get paid for the equal job, but do the study of when the femininity of nurturing and mindfulness and the love and communication, all these feminine energy enters into the leadership, how the culture changes and how the corporations do so much better with the prosperity. That is the research and question that we should really think about. And women have a better feminine energy than men. That's the reason why women leadership is important.
Let's close out with kind of a final round here. I'd like to ask each of you, what are you most excited about in terms of opportunities for us to embrace a bright and prosperous future? What are the exciting things that you think we can jump on that our advantages? And then what are our biggest challenges? And finally, how can we overcome some of those challenges and capitalize on some of those advantages? Can we start with you, Debs?
Sure. So when I think about Santa Monica's industries, I think a lot about technology, media, advertising, and I think about the opportunities that those specific industries have with this future of automation. You know, from where I sit at Lyft, where we're really thinking about the future of transportation, we see two big questions with autonomous vehicles. One is, what are people going to do in autonomous vehicles if they're not driving? And two, how might the actual in-car experience change with an autonomous vehicle? And how might that configuration look different? I think that those questions create tremendous opportunity for innovation and entrepreneurship in new ways of streaming information or streaming music or gaming, thinking sort of about in-flight entertainment, but in an autonomous vehicle. And there's so much potential here for the creative entrepreneurs in Santa Monica and people that will be coming here to be part of that, to help tap into the future of that.
And you were very candid about some challenges in your talk. So what are the challenges you think that we ought to be paying attention to?
Absolutely. I think the main challenge here, and this isn't just specific to Santa Monica, this is something that we see much more largely across the country, is the question of if autonomous vehicles get rolled out in a way where people choose to own their own autonomous vehicle rather than subscribe to a network and be part of this, fabric of options where sometimes they're taking Big Blue Bus or riding bike share or taking a Lyft when they need it. We won't be able to see those social, economic, environmental efficiencies because we'll basically just take this environment that we have now that's really focused on car ownership and single occupant vehicle trips, and we'll just be swapping out the car with one that isn't driving. And so the challenge that Santa Monica has is to think about how can we take the planning and the land use and the transit and the policy environment and wrap that up in a way that we're able to actually prevent an alternative reality where we're basically just creating the same thing today. And it's really about creating this menu of choices. And that, I think, is going to be the real challenge.
That's your challenge, Anuj Gupta, our new Director of Policy. Sabrina, what are you most excited about in terms of the opportunities for Santa Monica? And then we'll talk about challenges.
I think the best opportunity that we have here is a community that we created, the tech community, the restaurant community, the beach community that we created because of the vibrance of the city and because of the forward-thinking people and the policymakers in the city. Those people come here. Mm-hmm. So we don't have to recruit, we attract. And that is a great opportunity, especially by being part of that technological advancement of how the 21st century is changing. All these, unicorns that's been born in here, Santa Monica, that is a really great opportunity. Success breeds success. Because of the previous success, more and more people, the dreamers and the innovators, they all come to Santa Monica. I think that is the human capital pipeline that is endless, is really the greatest asset that we have in Santa Monica, more than the beach.
And Sabrina, you touched eloquently on the social equity and social justice aspect. So do you think that's one of our biggest challenges?
I think social justice and social equity in Santa Monica is more on the education side. We have a very small radius of the land. So how do we give everyone the knowledge and the opportunity of the possibilities that's ahead?
Tremendous. I don't think you would find in very many Southern California communities this level of engagement and discourse. And I'm not just talking about the conversations here on the stage, but the conversations that were taking place as we came in and the conversations that you'll be walking out into. This is an extraordinarily engaged community. 69% of our residents are college graduates. Almost a third have an advanced degree. It's not as affluent a community as people think in the stereotype. 70% of our residents are renters and 13% live below the poverty line. But it's a community that's extraordinarily interested, lively, diverse, and we're having these discussions and these dialogues and these debates. Let's continue them in the year ahead as we get ready for our 250th anniversary as a community. Let's think about the next 50, the next 200, the next 250 years. Thank you both for extraordinary contributions. And thank all of you for coming and for your questions, and I look forward to engaging with you as we wind up here tonight. Thanks for coming.
Let's have another round of applause for our speakers and welcome Nat Travis back to the stage.
Don't leave, folks. Give these folks another round of applause. Have a seat, please. What an inspirational group of innovators we've heard today, and thank you to our mayor, city manager, our panelists. I really enjoyed it. I know many of you want to chat with each other and perhaps the speakers, and we're going to have that opportunity. But before we adjourn, I'd like to again recognize our sponsors. If you watch the screen, without their support, we couldn't have done what we did tonight, which I think was incredible. I think you got the seeds for a dialogue that's going to take place between you and people in the audience and otherwise. I'd like to thank the City of Santa Monica again, the wonderful team at the Chamber and our State of the City Event Committee. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining with us.